Parshat Naso. I want to share with you a teaching by the Slonim Rebbe in his book Netivot Shalom on Parshat Naso. Which what I like about it is that it summarizes, it encapsulates Jewish spirituality in a nutshell. And it's a great commentary on this parsha. The parsha has three pieces or topics that come in succession, one after the other. And the Sotomer says, well, look at why do they come in that order? What does that teach us? So here it is. Let's start with the story of the Nazir. A Nazir is like a monk in Jewish tradition in the Torah. Although, as we know, there are no monks. There is no celibacy and no real. There's really no status of a person who dedicates their whole life entirely to God in the way that we see in other traditions, like in Christianity, the Christian monks, and also Buddhist monks and Hindu monks in the East is very common. It's forbidden in Judaism, but the Torah does speak about the Nazir, and the Nazir is a temporary state of vowing everything to God, dedicating one's life to God. And let me read it right out of the Parsha so we can appreciate what that is. איש או אישה כי יפלי לנדור נדר נזיר להזיר לאדוני. And I'm going to read Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's translation. This is the law when a man or a woman expresses a Nazirite vow to God. מיין ושחר יזיר, חומץ יין וחומץ שחר לא ישתה, וכל משרת ענבים לא ישתה, וענבים לחים ויבשים לא יאכל, כל ימי נזרו. He or she must separate him or herself completely from wine and wine brandy. He or she may not even drink vinegar made from wine or wine brandy. He shall not drink any grape beverage, and he shall not eat any grapes or raisins. And at the end of that period, when the period of that vow comes to its term, then there's a whole ceremony where the Nazirite will grow his or her hair wild, untended. And by the way, the Rastafarians follow exactly this instruction here in the Torah. So the Rastas, you may have not known this, that hairstyle, that comes from exactly this instruction, that the Nazir does not touch their hair, doesn't cut it, doesn't tend to it, just lets it grow, dreadlocks and the whole thing, lets it grow wild. So there, Haile Selassie, when he started the Rastafarian religion, which is sort of a pseudo-Christian religion, I don't want to say pseudo, that may be belittling, but when they focused on this verse in the Torah and made that a big part of their faith. So, but at the end of that period, the Nazir will shave his or her head and go through a purification ceremony and resume life as usual. So this is described in the Torah in length. And the next paragraph, the next topic that the Parsha addresses is what we know as the priestly blessing, Birkat Kohanim. I want to read that to you again, because in a moment we're going to look at the sequence. What do we learn from the sequence of these topics? And the priestly blessing goes, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. It's a beautiful, beautiful blessing. It's said in synagogue right at certain times. And it is also said when we bless our children on Friday night, before the Friday night meal. We say Varechecha Hashem Kefraim Uchim Nashe to boys. We put our hands in there. I used to do that with my son when he was a boy, and then we would say to them Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, etc. So beautiful, beautiful blessing. And English is, may God bless you and keep watch over you. May God make God's presence enlighten you and grant you grace. May God direct God's providence toward you and grant you peace. So we'll come back to that in a moment. So we have the laws of the Nazir, then we have the priestly blessing. And then the last thing is a description of how the 12 chieftains, or you could say chief of the 12 tribes of Israel, were to bring a special celebratory, the inaugural sacrifice or offerings to the new tabernacle that was being built in the desert. And what's instructive here, according to the Slonimer, ויביאו את קורבנם לפני אדוני 6 עגלות צב ו12 בקר. So they were to bring 6 wagons filled with offerings to the temple, and towed by 12 bulls. Each wagon, each of the 6 would have 2 bulls towing it. And so the 12 bulls represent the 12 tribes, and the 6 wagons, the Torah doesn't tell us what it represents, but again, we'll go back to the Slonimer and see where he goes. So again, this sequence of topics in the Parsha may seem random, but the Slonimer says, no, it's not random. In fact, it gives us a sort of a brief, an encapsulation of what Jewish spirituality is really, in essence, all about. I love it. Let's just jump right in, and here's the Slonimer. ויש לומר העניין על פי מה דאמר בתורת אבות ממרן הסבא הקדוש מסלונים. He's actually quoting his own teacher, who was a previous Slonimer Rebbe. לבאר סמיכות הפרשיות כאן, and let's look at what he said about the meaning of the sequencing, the proximity of these 3 topics to one another. בתחילה פרשת נזיר, אחר כך פרשת ברכת כהנים, ואחרי זה פרשת הנשיאים. First we have the the paragraphs about the Nazir, which could be called the monk or the dedicated one, and then the paragraphs that give us the priestly blessing, and then the paragraph that tells us about the contributions, the offerings by the 12 chieftains of the 12 tribes of Israel. Ki tchilat avodah inyan hanazir. It begins with the Nazir, with the monk. I want to say monk, quote unquote. You could say the biblical monk. שפורש מכל הנאות עולם הזה לבל יבוא לידי ניסיון. Because what the monk does is the monk removes him or herself from the joys of this world, and that's symbolized in both the wine, not drinking wine, and also with the not caring about vanity, not tending to one's hairdo, right, letting it just go wild. דהנאות העולם הזה כולן ניסיונות, ולכך מתנזר ופורש מהן, because the pleasures and vanities of this world are all here to test us. It's all tests. And the Nazir, the monk, by definition, is abstaining from those tests, is avoiding the test. And even though it's true that through this behavior the Nazir is avoiding and shaking off the influences of material, mundane existence, mikol makom ein zo tachlit avodat Hashem. Nevertheless, this is not the purpose of divine service. Now listen carefully. This is exactly the opening of what is divine service. What is the spiritual philosophy or the Jewish cosmology, the Jewish traditional take on what does it mean to be spiritual? And here is saying very clearly, Ein zo tachlit avodat Hashem, avoiding material and mundane experiences in life is not the Jewish way for divine service. Shehi lechaber tachtonim be'elyonim. The purpose of divine service, according to our tradition, is to connect the upper and the lower, heaven and earth. It's not to avoid earthly experiences and earthly ways and earthly existence, but no, it's to connect heaven and earth, to bring those together. And this is why immediately following the laws of the Nazir, we get the priestly blessing, which is a rung higher than the Nazir, than the monk. The priestly blessing is a rung higher than the priestly, than the status of abstinence. Okay, back to the text. שמגיע לכך שגם בעוסקו בענייני עולם הזה תהיה כוונתו לשם שמיים. Which the priestly blessing is going to point to the fact that even when we are busy with, involved with matters, worldly matters, one's intention, one's consciousness should be directed towards heaven, should be a spiritual consciousness. And in a moment, he's going to show us why. But let's let this sink in for a moment. So here, the Slonimer, the previous, the ancestor, the older one, is teaching us that monkhood is not the highest spiritual undertaking in our tradition. And we see that in the priestly blessing, which its essence, its teaching, is that while being involved in worldly matters, we should retain or work to retain, right? That's an aspiration. That's a state that we need to train ourselves towards, grow into, is maintaining a constant consciousness of the spiritual, of heavens. And here he's bringing a teaching from Chazal in a Midrash. So the Midrash says, Yevarechecha Adonai, that's how the Birkat Kohanim starts. Yevarechecha Adonai, may God bless you. Bemamon, says the Midrash. When we say Birkat Kohanim, and it says, when God bless you, the question is, bless you with what? With money, says the Midrash. V'ishmerecha, and may God keep you and guard you, is the second part of the sentence. Yivarech Hashem v'ishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Keep you meaning protect you. So protect you from what? But for that which is there to harm you spiritually. Okay, let's continue. So, היינו שהקדוש ברוך הוא יברכך בכל ענייני עולם הזה, meaning that may the heavens, may the Holy One, blessed be, bless you in all your worldly matters. Be blessed with mundane successes and prosperity. This is actually, there's some evangelical churches have this thing that's called the prosperity theology. These mega churches where they preach about, be a good person and God would shower riches. And so there's this thing called prosperity theology. And this is Jewish prosperity theology. What does it mean? Bless you? Bless you with riches. Bless you with success and with good worldly conditions and outcomes. Ach ishmarecha shelo tinazek mehamamon v'sha'ar ha'inyanim hagashmiyim shehem mazikim. But may God keep you that you are not distracted, that you're not damaged spiritually from this prosperity. And the rest of the material matters that are actually a hindrance to your spiritual growth. So the Midrash here is being smart, is saying, yes, sure, God wants to give you riches, but God also needs to protect you from the same riches you're going to get. Because they're going to become hindrances, they're going to become obstacles to your spiritual consciousness. So what's the blessing here in the Birkat Kohanim? Yevarechecha Hashem ve'ishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. The Midrash summarizes, שיוכל לעסוק בכל ענייני עולם הזה, והם לא יזיקו לו, ולא ינתקו לו מהקדוש ברוך הוא. So the sum of the blessing of the first sentence in Birkat Kohanim is that may you be involved fully with worldly matters without being hindered or distracted or obstructed in your connection to the spiritual while you're doing so. So you get a sense of, the framework here for the Jewish spiritual philosophy, the Jewish spiritual take, is not avoiding this world, but being fully engaged in this world while working on not losing sight of the spiritual. And also not being forgetful of our duty to connect those, to link those, to bridge the gap. So it doesn't end here. Let's move even further. ואחר כך, this is back to the Slonimer, נאמרה פרשת הנשיאים, המורה על מדרגה שלישית. But then the Torah talks to us about the offerings of the chieftain of the tribes, which point to a third rung, which is even higher. Higher from abstaining, higher for remembering the spiritual while being fully engaged in material existence, in worldly matters. כדכתיב בה שהביאו לקורבנם 6 עגלות וכולי. As it is written that the chieftains brought with them 6 wagons of offerings to the temple, ומרומז בזה לדרך היותר גבוהה להרים ולקדש. And this is a hint to even higher path to elevate and to sanctify all worldly matters, et inyanei olam hazeh atzmam, l'Hashem yitbarach v'la'avodato, to divine service. Why? What's 6 wagons have to do with a higher level of elevating? So what is the number 6? What does it point to? What in our mythology in the Torah? Let me be straight. Where does the Torah use the number 6 in a deeply symbolic manner? The shesh agalot tzav hem ha'inyanim hagashmiyim she'irimu otam le'avodat Hashem. The 6 wagons are a metaphor for all worldly and material matters that the chieftains lifted up to divine service. Now, 6 is the 6 days of creation, right? The worldly matters were created in 6 days. You see. ולא רק שאינם מזיקים, אלא זהו עיקר התכלית. It's not only that now these worldly matters are no longer an obstruction or a distraction or a liability to our spirituality, but this is the purpose of life on earth, of human life on earth. הנרצה מענייני עולם הזה, שיעלה את הכל לעבודת השם. That we are here on earth to lift everything in life to divine service. To get past the place, get past the risk zone where worldly existence is a hindrance. Just lift it all up. That is the purpose of spiritual work or spirituality in Jewish terms. Can I train myself? Can I evolve to the point where I can be steeped in this world, but have such mastery of myself in it that the spiritual consciousness is never distracted? Rather the opposite. Anything I touch is lit up. Anything I'm involved with is transformed into its highest sacred potential. That is Jewish spirituality. May we so be blessed. May we so be blessed. Imagine that every time you and I said a bracha, I teach the kids at, when we do the Hebrew school classes and the bar mitzvah training and, that stage of Jewish education, I teach them brachot, right? So Baruch Atah Hashem Eloheinu Melech Haolam, and kids are actually happy to recite. Because at that level, obviously this is developmentally appropriate. Kids, on the whole, really want to know what to do. Tell me what to do, I'll do it, then I go play. That's usually how it works with kids. And every now and then, we'll have a discussion about meaning. But meaning, for me, when I was a kid, was really in pickup soccer, or hide and go seek or tag or whatever it was we were playing out there. This is before smartphones. But every now and then I could get into a 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute, depending on attention span, into a discussion of deep spiritual meaning or value meaning or curiosity about what, the big questions of life. But on the whole, life happened, my spirituality happened in my playing. So I learned brachot, and I teach brachot as a teacher, how to say it. But imagine this. Imagine that you and I evolve our bracha capacity, our ability to say bracha, in such a way that when I say the bracha over bread, or say the bracha over a beautiful landscape, or I say the bracha over the candles, everything around me is lit up. It just goes into its highest spiritual vibration. That is the goal of Jewish spirituality. When I do a business deal, can I elevate the ethics, the relational vibration between me and the other person I'm doing the deal with, and exchange money in the way that that exchange is holy? Can I go into the park and see the trash, the litter that people leave behind, and act in such a way, perhaps pick up the litter, that elevates humanity's relationship with the environment? That my presence, my consciousness, that I know that I have stumbled upon this litter pile that that unconscious people before me left behind. And I can clean that up, and with that I'm elevating the park into holiness. Perhaps elevating the people who threw the litter into a higher state. Can I be kind to a homeless person, knowing that this is my spiritual task, and by giving something to the homeless person, interacting with him or her, I'm elevating the world. I'm elevating him or her and myself and everybody in my environment to a higher spiritual level. It's not in the monastery. It's not in the yeshiva. It is in life. According to the rabbis, that's our job. May we so be blessed. And really, we're on our way. You are on your way. You are. Every time you do a mitzvah, the Chazal teach us that mitzvah goeret mitzvah, every mitzvah, every holy act, every moment of recognition of the spiritual, of the ethical, of the bigger, the bigger and better in human conduct and nature and spirituality, draws upon it, attracts the law of attraction, right? You've probably heard of the law of attraction. Will attract the next act, and exponentially we grow towards Kedusha. On that note, let us go into our day, immerse into that which is calling us for immersion, and lift it just a little bit. I'm Rabbi Reuben Modik with Hebrew Learning Circles and Makom Halev community here in Nyack, New York. Let's continue the conversation. Leave a comment below. Would love to hear your thoughts about Jewish spirituality, your experiences with other spiritual teachings. How does it connect? How does it not? Where are you on your journey? How could we support each other? Leave a comment below. Let's continue the conversation. Like us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hebrew Learning Circles on YouTube. Let's continue the conversation here on Facebook. And with that, I'd like to offer you a blessing for an amazing day. Come back for more. We'll be teaching here almost every day. Shalom for now.